NCAA college basketball totals for Saturday, November 12th. Yesterday, we went 3-2 on our NCAA college basketball totals pick, and we're going to continue this segment throughout the season. It's going to be a lot of fun. Really tough in the early part of the year here. It's just second day into the season, and trying to break this down and figure everything out. It's not easy. You kind of have to take some really good guesses, but I got 4 plays on today's card, and I think they're pretty decent. So we're going to go ahead and roll with those today, and hopefully we can continue from what we did yesterday. Again, we have our NBA total segment. Be sure to check that out, and always check out SBR for the best odds. All right, first game we're going to look at here is one of the earlier ones. We got Wofford versus LSU. Odds makers have it at 148. I'm going to back under the total of 148, and I have a couple reasons why, which I'll tell you right now as I break this down. Now, Mike Young, he's been at Wofford for a long time, about 15 years, I think. Really, really good college basketball coach. They love the control tempo, and they love to shoot the three. They have a good three-point shooter coming back who should be all league, and Fletcher McGee, he'll be a sophomore this year, so that'll be LSU's main concern as far as getting out, defending the perimeter. I think they're going to be able to do that and hold Wofford to a reasonable number. This 148 is really big. When you look at their adjusted tempo, some websites out there, you can go check out statistics like that. Wofford goes really slow. Now, LSU, they want to go fast. They're going to play a lot of man-to-man. With Johnny Jones as head coach, they want to get up. We also know they lost Ben Simmons. They have a new junior, Duop Reith. I hope I'm saying that right. Who should be able to control the middle. Wofford's not really that big across the board. But this 148 is just a lot. It's a lot of points for the first game of the year, and you got to have 2 teams to really contribute, I think, to get to a total like this. And I don't think Wofford's going to contribute as much, unless they get really hot from beyond the arc. But what I do like is the fact that LSU yesterday, now they got a couple new guards in the mix, or they're not really sure about who's going to play the point the most. So the other day they had a practice game and they had 23 turnovers. That's a lot. Now, if Wofford's able to capitalize on a situation like that, I think they're going to be able to control the pace a little bit better as opposed to LSU controlling the pace. So at the end of the day, this 148 that's a lot of points. I don't think they're going to be able to get there the way these two match up, looking at adjusted tempo and things like that. So I'm going to back under the 148 with Wofford and LSU. Next one we got Toledo and St. Joseph under 153. Phil Martelli, great coach for St. Joe's. I've liked him for a long time. You got Todd Kowalczyk or Kowalczyk, if I'm saying that correctly, for Toledo. He's been there. He's really turned that program around, and they like to go up tempo. They really like to go fast, and that's why this total's so high at 153. But there's some issues, I think, to get there. So I'm going to go under the 153. I don't know if I mentioned that. I'm going a little bit fast here. I'm going to go under the 153 between Toledo and St. Joe's. Now, it looks like it sets up to be a pretty fast-paced affair, but again, that's a lot of points in a college game. You got Toledo. They are returning 3 starters led by Jonathan Williams. He averaged over 17 points a game last year. Good guard. So they return about 60% of their scoring. That's Toledo, the Rockets, coming out of the MAC. St. Joe's, they won the A10 last year. Now, they're going to have a ceremony prior to the game. Maybe that'll, kind of put a little hiccup in their giddy up as the game begins. I don't know if that's very scientific or really statistically sound. But what I do like about this game is I believe since St. Joe's at home, they're going to control the tempo a little bit better, I believe, than Toledo. And also, because they still got some talent. I mean, St. Joseph, they're always going to have players. But right now, they don't have any scorer back who average double-digit minutes per game. They really don't have a lot, of guys back who played a lot of minutes. That's it. But they do have 12 guys back. So they have a plethora of guys. They lost their top 3 scorers, including, Udud-all guy DeAndre Bembry. But, at the end of the day, that 153, man, that is a lot of points. I checked out some adjusted tempo on them as well. St. Joe's, they'll get out and run. They have no problem with it, but I just don't think these guys are going to get that many to drop in this opening game. The way some of these matchups kind of work out. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to back under the total of that 153 with Toledo and St. Joe's, which should be a pretty up-tempo affair, but still at the end, I think we're going to stay under that 153. It's not all doom and gloom for the unders, though. We're going to go over on this next one. We got Nebraska-Omaha versus Santa Barbara over the 157. Now, this is the most interesting line out there because last year these two teams played to a 60-59 Santa Barbara win in Nebraska-Omaha. And I believe that was to open the season, or a second game, first or second game of the season. But in that matchup, both teams shot about 35% from the floor, and both of them shot under 20% from distance. Just a horrible shooting game. The tempo actually wasn't that great, but Nebraska-Omaha, they love to get up and down. They are one of the top teams in the country as far as adjusted tempo goes. That means they like to get up and get up a lot of shots when compared to other teams in the country. They're one of the top teams in the country in that regard. They return 45% of their scoring, so almost half their scoring. What I like about this, though, is Santa Barbara, they're returning 3 starters. And what I also like about this is it makes it a line play for me. Bob Williams, I have a lot of respect for him at Santa Barbara. I've watched him pretty closely over the years. Good basketball coach. They always are really scrappy in the Big West. I don't know a lot about Darren Hansen, but I know he loves to push tempo with his teams because they were really fast last year. I think they'll be really fast this year. Let's see what I wanted to. Okay, yeah, last year, they were second in the nation in adjusted tempo, so they're going to try and go really fast. Now, again, sorry, back to what I find interesting. Last year, Santa Barbara went over this 157 only twice. And Osbakers have set their first game like that. This seems really off, really weird. So I'm going to go over the total simply for the fact I think Nebraska's going to come in and just want to get up and down. And I think with Santa Barbara having some decent returners, I think they're going to go ahead and go with them. And I look for this total to get over that 157 and what should be a really good game to watch. All right, so that's going to be my plan: Nebraska, Omaha, and Santa Barbara. Last one up, we got Kent State. Let me quick change here. And Cleveland, and I'm going to go under the 141. Sorry, I got to make one quick change as we finish this segment up. I got to turn my page also. Okay. All right, so we got Kent State, Cleveland. I'm going to go under the 141. Now, the game's on a neutral floor in Youngstown. Right now, with the adjusted tempo for these two teams, how they have played over last season, it's slow. The tempo is pretty slow. Last year, they played to a 66-62 Kent State win. Cleveland is not that good. And Kent State has a lot of new faces. They just don't have a lot of guys returning. I think their biggest returning, they got one really good player returning. That's Cleveland for Jimmy Hall. Jimmy Hall was for Kent State. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, he was all MAC last year, so he's going to anchor that team as far as their scoring. But that's it. They really don't have a lot of guys returning except for that. Cleveland, they have 3 starters returning, which is good, but still not a lot of scoring coming back. So 141 to me, and looking at their tempos, how fast this game goes, I just don't see them getting there in this matchup. Gary Waters always seems to want to control tempo at Cleveland. And Rob Senderoff for Kent State. They like to go a little bit quick, actually, but I just don't think they're going to get there. I think that's too many points. So sorry about the mistake on the players there. I just had one guy on the wrong side of the page. As well, Kent State, it's going to be interesting as far as rebounds are concerned and stuff like that, because Kent State goes with a 4-guard, 1-forward matchup, that forward being Jimmy Hall. So that's going to be interesting. But at the end of the day, the 141, I think that's a little too much looking at the tempo, the way these two coaches coach. So I'm going to go under that 141. All right, let's break this down one more time. We got Wolford, LSU under the 148. Toledo, St. Joseph's under the 153. Nebraska, Omaha, Santa Barbara over the 157. And Kent State, Cleveland under the 141. Those are our NCAA total plays on the day. And I wish you luck on your picks today.